Hello and welcome to an emergency message from the Mancunian Candidates. And this is directed at our lovely Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson. So we'll start off with slow hand clap for Boris. I think we can all join in, all around the UK. Slow hand clap for Boris. Yeah, he's actually managed to bring us Brexit without Brexit. He's actually managed, through his incompetence, to actually bring about all of the consequences of a hard Brexit upon the United Kingdom without even having a Brexit. So how did we end up here? Well, if you've been watching the Mancunian Candidates, you know that we perceived, as well as the science, it wasn't just us, we're not geniuses, we just went with the science. 4 or 5 weeks ago, we started the show with proclamations of how insane it was to be considering a Christmas, a COVID Christmas, where everything's relaxed for 5 days, allowing the virus to spread, so that we start off January with massive spikes that's going to overrun the hospitals at the time when you want these healthcare workers distributing a vaccine to the people. So everybody told him, obviously he wouldn't listen to us, we don't have the clout, but you'd think he would listen to the scientists. He didn't listen to Labour, the opposition, he didn't listen to anybody. And because everyone was telling him not to do it, he pushed ahead, and then he lost his brain. Mr. Cummings left. So here we've got to see Mr. Boris Johnson in action as Prime Minister with a crisis for the first time without the brain of Dominic Cummings to guide him through this, which, as much as he was a Class A nutcase, he was probably the most intelligent person in that cabinet. So how did this come about? Well, it's really simple, isn't it? He was told not to, pushed ahead, he was begged not to. Even up to last week, people going into this week were begging him, please don't do this. This is going to be insane. The hospitals will get overrun and everything's going to go tits up. That's the best way of describing it. Everything would be going pear-shaped in January, just as you needed the vaccines to be being distributed en masse. So, where do we end up here? How have we got today's crisis? Well, it's simple. He carried on, wouldn't back down. And then he had the meeting, the disastrous meeting, where everybody's told him this weekend and heading into this weekend from Thursday to Friday, the pressure was mounting on him because the figures coming back was that the tier 2 situation, where he'd allowed London to carry on in tier 2 while he plunged all of us up here in the north into tier 3, had backfired spectacularly, causing massive raised levels of COVID and infections and a disaster happening that threatened to overrun the hospitals in London and in the south of England. So with that, and with the fact he was wrong all along about Christmas, he had to deliver a shit sandwich to the British people. And he didn't know exactly how to do it. Now, all over Europe, there've been whispers that this COVID has mutated slightly into a stronger strain, so it's more virulent. And it had, by the time it hit here for the first wave, it had become a stronger strain than that which infected Wuhan. And that's the nature of this beast. But the good news is the vaccine gets rid of it. Even if it mutates beyond here, becomes even more virulent, it still gets rid of it. It's the same thing. So, this is the nature of all these vaccines, all have one thing in common. They will get rid of COVID in whatever strain it takes on. So we are now in a position where our Prime Minister has to back down. So he has a press conference and he can't just say, whoopsie, I got it wrong, which a man might do. I've often said I got it wrong, and I'll always apologise on this show when I've got it wrong. It's the normal thing to do. It's the healthy thing to do. And he couldn't do that because he's the person he is. So he blundered and bumbled his way through a press conference and basically ineptly announced this super strain as if COVID had turned into a big Godzilla that was currently a 1,000-foot monster wrecking its way through major cities all the way through the UK, when in actual fact it's something that could be controlled and the vaccine will take care of. So he basically has led to the UK today, everybody waking up this morning to all the major countries all over Europe and elsewhere. There's more to come. I give you this, a Mancunian Candidates guarantee that there is more to come. So don't get too complacent today. This is going to get worse. Britain is now blockaded. You're now seeing the effects of a hard Brexit on our border without even having the Brexit. He's actually managed to create a crisis in the middle of the biggest crisis that this country has ever faced. It's quite breathtaking. It's quite an accomplishment where you wouldn't think it was possible, but somehow he's managed it, and he's managed it with flair. I don't think anyone could have done it any better or worse, whichever way you want to look at it. So now, where are we? We've got all the countries blockading us. We're probably going to run out of food. Food will be airlifted in. We're going to spend a fortune. When you think about all the money that hasn't been given to the arts and hasn't been given to all the people in need in this country, while they've been giving backhanders left, right and centre to every single person that popped up with a startup company that said they could do testing kits, they are now going to have to waste a fortune on emergency measures to get help to the British people and food on the shelves over the coming week. So this Christmas, we've gone from having this cosy, unrealistic, crazy Mary Poppins Christmas, where we're all hugging and kissing and being a normal family again for 5 days, which without any consequences, which was utter nonsense. Anybody with any intelligence knew, with everything going on, that if any of us had a Christmas of that nature, that it was going to be at a massive cost to the healthcare individuals working hard to protect us in this country. And that is the problem. So he lulled everybody into, some people believe that because he was so positive about going ahead with this. And now we are here. He's cancelled Christmas. We've got all the effects of Brexit without even Brexit happening. All the borders are closed. We are literally an island today. And I'd like to just point out at this moment, it's funny, isn't it? These countries in the EU, they've got no sovereignty. That's why we've got to take back control. Well, for countries that have no sovereignty, they unilaterally closed their borders on us and did exactly what they needed to do to protect their country, irrespective of any mandate or instruction from the EU. France, Denmark, all the rest closed their borders because some mop-headed lunatic went on TV and said that we'd got this massive super virulent, I can't even say that word, super contagious version of of COVID, a super strain. And that phrase, the super strain, is sweeping everywhere. So we're the capital of it. It's in other countries, but they weren't stupid enough to have to go on TV and use it as an excuse to cancel a Christmas that a lunatic went along with. He was insane to ignore all the advice of science and go ahead with Christmas. And this is what it's cost. It's not cost him. It's cost the British people. It's cost everybody that's watching this in the UK. We're all going to have a very difficult time over the next week, and we're all going to be very stressed out by what's on the news. Now, I will say this. The sun is going to shine tomorrow morning. It's going to come up and everything's going to be normal. It's not going to be the end of the world. Don't run out and panic buy. Don't run out and clear all the shelves so that old people that can only make it out probably once over the next week won't have any food. Try to be sensible. There will be food, because this mop-headed bellend is going to spend the next week trying to ship food in. It's going to cost us a fortune. I mean, we're all going to get tax bills at the end of this anyway for all the COVID relief, and he's just stacked up another pile of grief. But here you go. And I'd just like to say this is a taste of what you'll get if we get a no-deal Brexit. Sorry to bring that up, but you're seeing it. And you're also seeing that everybody in the EU has got sovereignty. Otherwise, today wouldn't have happened. Congratulations, another slow hand clap for Boris. I don't think anyone could have asked more of you than this on terms of incompetence. You're going to go down in history. And there's a lot of prime ministers that have done a bad job, but this one takes the cake.
Thank you for watching. I'm impressed. You've passed the IQ test and got this far, so let's press that button. Let's do the last thing that helps us. It's got subscribe on it, you can't miss it, and please ring the bell for notifications of future videos.